Hello, everyone. Welcome to Act Up, April's conversation time. Welcome to the POG. Welcome to the podcast. Today is episode 4. We're talking about imposter syndrome, and we have 3 epic gamers on the pod today. Can y'all introduce yourselves?
Hey y'all, I'm GB Soriano. I am a third year. I am also your APSA historian for the 2020-2021 school year, and my pronouns are he, him, his.
Hello, my name is John Fox. I am a third year computer science major, and I am one of the co-directors of finance this year, and my pronouns are he, him, his.
Hey, what's up? My name is Lynn. I'm a second year advertising major. My position on board is webmaster, and my pronouns are she, hers, hers.
Yes, and I, of course, am your host, April Joy Payumo, your political coordinator. I'm a third year, and my pronouns are she, her, hers, in case y'all weren't aware. Today we're talking about imposter syndrome. So, in case any of the viewers did not make it to GBM and they missed the AP squared on imposter syndrome, here's a little short recap. Imposter syndrome is defined by Harvard Business Review as a collection of feelings of inadequacy that persist despite evident success. So, in other words, imposter syndrome could be characterized by feelings of inadequacy that you just aren't good enough for the way that other people perceive you, even though other people might be like, no, you're not like that. You're actually you're proficient and you're capable of your own work. A common instance of imposter syndrome that people bring up, especially at this point in the semester, is the feeling that they don't belong in college. I'm sure a lot of us can resonate with this. I know I myself, there were times where I didn't know whether or not I was fitting in with my classes or even with my major. So yeah, that's why I chose this topic for this week. And so as a general question to my lovely guests, why do y'all think that imposter syndrome is so rampant among college students and just in general in the community? Anybody?
Well, I think the reason that it's really rampant is because, or at least in my major, this is when, or for most people in general, really, during this time, this is when midterms starting to come up, and everyone has to deal with the hardships with that, such as studying, going to SI, going to get tutoring, etc. And going through the entirety of all your midterms, it's definitely a rough process. And then seeing your grades, sometimes you know what, they're just not the greatest, and it happens, and it definitely hits people. So with me, I had a midterm a while ago and I didn't do so hot. And honestly, sometimes, yeah, I'll definitely think about why I'm in the major, but I'll just reassure myself later that I definitely still have to keep going, because that's definitely what we have to remember, that we're not in this alone and that other people share the same struggles. And if we just keep going at it, we can make it.
JB,
Yes.
Lynn, any thoughts?
I guess I'll go. Well, yeah, I feel like imposter syndrome, it's pretty rampant, just not among college students, but people in the workforce as well.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt like it was because there's this really strong pressure to achieve something for your, not only for yourself, but for other people, your family, which is, they pressure you to I guess not achieve only for yourself, but sometimes they want you to achieve for them. Like how your family is oh yeah, go graduate, get a nice job, so maybe you can take care of us in the future or something like that. I think other reasons why there's such a high pressure to achieve is I guess it's kind of scary, because it's obviously you want good things for yourself, and so let's say you get this, I don't know, this higher position in a job that you have. I guess it's kind of scary. It's really scary to find out that you might not be good enough for that position, or you find out that you don't have what it takes, I guess, for that position. So it kind of puts you in a situation where it's obviously you want better for yourself, but it's you don't know if you can do it, so you kind of feel it makes you really feel like an imposter. And I guess like another small part is social media, because like you see people achieving things like everywhere, influencers and stuff like that. And I feel like just being constantly exposed to that, it really makes you feel, it can make you feel uncomfortable in your own skin and make you question like your own achievements and stuff like that, which is just pretty like rough, honestly.
Lynn?
Yeah, I was gonna pretty much say like the same thing JV and John were gonna say, because I feel like to it's like you're in a space where everyone kind of has an expectation for you,
Mhm.
and you never know if you're meeting them, or like you're not meeting them because like that's just not what you want to do with your life or whatever, just because because we are like like minorities in a sense, or like not in a sense, like we are like this whole club is like an Asian Pacific Islander club. So like we are the minority, so people do have like these stereotypes about us and like what we should be in the future. Like Filipinos are like usually nurses, which or or like all Asian people are gonna be engineers, like accountants, and like any other like STEM major. So I feel like it's hard for
Doctors.
people that are like more in the creative, or the, I believe, the right brain, or like the A
Yeah,
brain.
like the arts and
Yeah.
humanities. It's very difficult for specifically like Asian Americans and like Pacific Islanders, because of the whole idea of like the model minority myth. And that's why APSA, that's why we hold FTS every year, to showcase some of the other qualities that we have to try and break that stereotype. Yeah, one thing that I wanted to note is that like um, imposter syndrome. I found an article that said that imposter syndrome occurs mostly among like high achievers who are unable to internalize and accept their success. And many of these people attribute their accomplishment to luck rather than to ability, and fear that others will eventually unmask them as a fraud. Would any of y'all consider yourselves as like high achieving people? Because like I know that we're all on board, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all of us are like, oh, I'm like a perfectionist or blah blah blah. I personally am, but like what are y'all's thoughts on that?
Personally, for me, not really, because I feel like I could be better at like a lot of the stuff I can do, just like in general. But like I feel like that's like a every person thing. But
Mm-hmm.
like I think personally, I'm not the greatest at everything, so it's kind of hard to be like, well, I'm like the highest achieving, and plus since we're like mostly in college, my grades aren't the greatest, so it's like like I could do better, so it's kind of like
Boys?
What was the question? It's like, do I consider myself like high
Yeah.
achieving?
Yeah.
Definitely not, dude. Like, wow. I only say that because it's like I know my expectations on myself and I know the goals that I want to achieve, and well, I kind of kind of haven't achieved them yet. But I guess uh, in a way, like I still, I don't know, feel like I want. What was the question again? Like,
Are you like, do you consider yourself high achieving? Because like me myself, I think I think a lot of people also consider me as like a high achieving person, just because of like their interactions with me. I'm very goal driven, right? I feel like even when people don't consider themselves high achievers, it's because they don't necessarily like realize like the way in which they are driven. Uh, because like I don't know, in my eyes, I feel like all of y'all are like uh fairly like high achieving in your own like in your own respective areas of expertise and stuff, because I feel like as like a board member, we all of us have like certain like varying levels in like our own specific positions, where we're just like we want to do the best at our position, and it's very difficult. Like you want to do your best, but you also put like a lot of pressure on yourself to be like the best in your position that you possibly can be, because you also don't want to let other people down, sort of idea. Would y'all agree that you feel like similarly?
definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. just like question, when when do you think that this concept of like imposter syndrome came into your life? Like how early would you say like you started feeling like, oh, maybe I'm not who other people think that I am, and I don't want them to find out that I'm like it might just even just be like feeling like you're dumb or something. Like I know that in high school, I switched school districts. I mentioned this in the last podcast. I went from going to school in National City, and then I switched over to Olympian High School, which is in Sweetwater Union High School District. And this isn't like to bash at all, but like the community that I went to at Olympian, and like John and JV know this, Olympian at the time was known for being like the #1 school in the school district. And then I also, on top of that, I joined academic league. And so I just had this immense like feeling like, because I had gone from this tiny, it was like going from the tiny pond to the ocean sort of deal, where, I feel like it's very common amongst kids who were like told like, oh, you're gifted growing up, and you grow up and you're like, yeah, I'm pretty smart, I can do this. And then you go to high school, and then, a lot of the times the problem is that you have grown up with this sense of like, I know who I am. And then you meet other people, and then you start to realize I don't exactly know everything about myself. And it's like part of the growing process, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. John, like, how do you think, like, do you think it started like in high school or like middle school?
Honestly, for me, I feel like it started pretty recent, definitely. I felt like I kind of like what's it called? What's the word? I fit into my major. Like I belong in my major until I think last semester when I took discrete math. That was the hardest class I've ever taken in my life, and honestly, like it was really strange for me because I still like thought I wasn't the smartest person, but I thought I could get through things like as long as I worked hard. But I just felt so inadequate and like out of it when I took that class because like I just completely bombed it no matter how much effort I had put into it. And ever since then, it's kind of like sometimes like if I'm having a rough time, I'll be like, do I really belong in CS? But then I realized that like just looking at things like, people fail classes every now and then. That's okay. But ever since then, it definitely has popped up, and I try not to let it stop me, but I definitely do feel it.
Mm-hmm. JV, do you, or like JV Amlin, do you either of y'all feel like, well, I mean, like psychology is considered like STEM, but a lot of people also like have difficulty determining whether or not it's like STEM, or like some people like to use the word like soft STEM because it is like a lot of social science and like research. Do y'all feel like, as like people who aren't necessarily grouped in with like the core like STEM like community, do you think that it's harder for you to feel like you belong? Like, I don't know, I feel like at least with me, a lot of my friends are like CS, engineering, like math, physics, whatever. A lot of them are like STEM majors, and as somebody who's not like, I don't have to take any of these like insanely hard math classes or whatever. And so I feel like there is like a sense of like, I don't know if like I don't know if I belong with these people, like they're my friends and all, but it's hard to like fit in with them, and you want to like keep up this like facade of, like I'm where I'm supposed to be, but at the same time you also just don't feel like you fit in necessarily.
So you're saying like, since I'm like in a different major and
Yeah.
like, my friends are like a different major, like do I fit in with them? Honestly,
Did it ever make you feel like that? Like,
no, I never like felt that way. It's because it's like I know who I'm befriending. Like I know their interests besides their major and stuff like that, and I'm probably like friends with them like not because of their major, but like these other similar interests that we have. So I've never felt out of place with like John, who's a CS major, and Lynn, who's advertising. Like I feel comfortable around them.
Yeah, same with like JV. I never felt like that I was out of place, especially because like in high school, I thought I wanted to be an engineer like all throughout high school until like my senior year, when I just like completely started hating the class because I thought like I just didn't like anything, like any part of it, because it was just like, man, the math is hard. Like I don't really get coding that much, and then like um all the people kind of don't know what they're doing either. So it's like, do I really want to be in this major? So like everyone kind of like all the people around me just like knew that like it just wasn't for me. So like it's fine. And also like same, all my friends, I'm not friends with my friends because of their major. I'm friends with them for like other things. So it's like it's not that part, I feel like.
Understandable. Do y'all like, okay, for me at least, when I was making friends within my major, because you know, you want, like when you go to college, you kind of you want to make friends like within your own little field so that you can kind of like bond over things, so you can help each other out, study together even. I know that there have been instances for me where I've, you know, been in like a group chat, or like even like in like I had a constitutional law class, right? It was like one of the first classes that I took that was upper division at SDSU. And I was, you know, this was last year, fall semester, and you know, I had a bunch of credits going into SDSU, so that's why I got to do like upper divisions like pretty quickly. And so when I walked in there, I was one of two second years in that class. Everybody else was either like a third year, or, you know, they were a senior, or like, even if they were like seniors, like a lot of them were also like older people who had like transferred in from community college. So I was in there feeling like I was just like the most baby out of the entire thing. Like people would like, at the end of a midterm, I would have friends who'd be like, who wants to go to Eureka and grab a drink after this? And I would be like, I am 19, y'all. And I mentioned one time that I was 19 to my professor. And she was like, you make me realize how old I am. And it just, it makes you kind of feel like very uncomfortable within your own skin. Like, even though you're like, yeah, I'm doing this and I'm doing all this great stuff, you, there comes a point, I feel like, in some like, especially like upper division, like challenging classes, where you start to question like, ooh, I don't know if I really belong in here. Everybody else in here is so qualified and they're so much older, and I just don't know if this is for me, kind of deal. Like, I know John mentioned like this being like discrete math for him, but did JV or Lynn, did y'all have like a instance of this in like college? No.
Sorry, I'm thinking about this.
I guess I guess for me personally, since I switched majors, like advertising is my first major. My first major was actually food and nutrition science, and I think like that kind of similar situation happened like when I took OChem, because like OChem is like not easy whatsoever, and I took like elementary OChem, and that's like baby's OChem compared to like what everyone else has to take. And like I was struggling in that class, and I feel like for me, since no one else I knew had my major, it was like it was really hard to like connect with everyone else in the class, because like I don't have any friends in there. And then like even now I only know one other person with my major, and like he's an upper div, so like there's not that many people I can like rely on for like help.
Yeah, there's
So
like
it
a lot
feels
of
kind of hard.
disconnect.
Yeah.
JB, do you have any thoughts on this?
No, honestly, I like the people around me. I feel like,
They generally like are at the same kind of
yeah, I feel like I'm at
level
the
of
same level of them.
struggling.
Struggling, yeah, I guess. I
Yeah.
guess they could know more than me, or they could be doing better, like in a certain class or something. But like, I chose psychology because I feel really confident in that, like, I can learn it and that I can apply it for
Mm-hmm.
like for whatever future career or any kind of like skill that I learn. So like, I guess I don't I never find myself comparing, I guess, myself to these other psychology students, because I feel like I just know that I could get to their level just for psychology. Just it's just like my own like thing, I guess.
And I think that's good because a lot of times when people talk about imposter syndrome, and like they're in college, a lot of times it's because there's like this disconnect between them and their major. At least like between like my personal experiences with other people, they'll be like, I don't really know if I fit in with this major. They'll be like, I don't know if I wasted like 2 years. They'd be like, I thought I knew what I wanted, and then they hit like the end of their second year and they're about to go into upper division, and then they're just like, oh God, I have gotten intrigue. Like I've been like intrigued by like another major that's like completely on the opposite spectrum. You know what I mean? I feel like that's like a lot of where the disconnect lies with people. At least like for me, I kind of already like throughout high school, I picked political science when I was 15 years old. I picked it and I stuck with it. And then sophomore year hit and I was like, ooh God, I still like this, but I don't know if I fit in with these people, because a lot of like the stereotype is that like a lot of political science majors like to argue, and like I could say that to a certain degree it's a little true, but I don't know, it was just very difficult for me, especially like as a girl, as an Asian woman, like as a minority within my major, because it was very difficult for me to find friends within my classes. I'm gonna be honest, like I would walk into a class and it would be like me and then like one other Asian person on like the opposite side of the room. And I would just be like, ugh, I don't know how I feel about this. Like I feel like if I speak up, it's gonna be very difficult for me to like feel comfortable and like not like I'm cornered, so to speak. Um, Lynn, do you think that the fact that like you identify as a female, do you think that it made you feel like, at least like in terms of like your performance in comparison to like other people in your class, do you think that you ever felt like, oh, I see I'm around all of these men, do you think that it made you feel like you weren't as successful, or like that you were inadequate in comparison?
Uh, Personally, no, because like the only person I kind of compare myself with is like me, like especially like in classwork, because like I know there's like a bar that's set, and like I should usually try to hit it, if not like surpass it. But I can see how other women can feel like that, because there is kind of like, well, men don't have to try as hard to get like something they want. Like women
Mm-hmm.
have to try a little harder to get what they want, because we're women. Like we're seen as weaker, not as. I'm not sure it's like not as smart, but like so I feel like some people do kind of think that,
Like there's an
because like
ingrained sense of like patriarchy.
yeah.
Yeah. Um yeah. JV and John, we all went to the same, like I mentioned this before, we all went to the same high school, and it was a very like, it was known for being just like a very high achieving school around the district. And a lot of us we had different friend groups obviously, but I know that like all of us, like we've taken like AP classes. Um did you feel like because of where we went to school, it also made you feel like you had to like achieve a certain, hit like a certain bar or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I it's not because it was like a high academic school that made me want to perform better, but it's the
Mm-hmm.
fact that there's all these like other highly academic achieving students that
Yeah.
they like set the bar so high. I'm like, I don't know how you got to this level, but like, I kind of want that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can think of so many people in my former school that are just like absolutely like, they're like amazing, talented, hardworking, and smart. And it's just the fact that there's so much. It's like just being in high school. It's not like it didn't make me feel small, but it made me realize like how like big people can
How
be.
big everything else.
Yeah, and it just made me realize like I really do have to work harder in order to like to
Mm-hmm.
even like get to that level.
John, any thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely felt like there definitely was a pressure at our school because like they always like put in your face like we're the number one school in the district. So it's kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
thing that like everyone is pushing you to like do well, like just so like the school can brag, but also like all your friends and like everyone around you is like doing AP classes and stuff, and you really don't want to feel like you're falling behind. So you definitely like keep going with them. And it's definitely a unique experience because I can't believe Okay. Anyways, I forgot what I was saying.
That's okay. Yeah, honestly, I feel like at Olympian at least, like it's perfectly fine. Again, like we're not professional. We're just a bunch of college students having a conversation. Um, Personally, you know, like I told y'all, I was in academic league, and the people that I surrounded myself with, they're just so very like high achieving. I can name them all. Honestly, like I would drop names, but I'm not going to do that. But uh, like there was this sense of like if you're not an AP, you're dumb. That kind of feeling. Like you didn't want to take the regular class because you felt like the people around you would be like, why are you taking regular? It's not like AP's that difficult. Like that's kind of the only reason why I took AP Lang or no, AP Lit senior year. I took that class because I was like, I don't want to be dumb. I don't want to be with I was like, I want to be with my friends sort of deal, right? And even though I kind of just didn't know what I was doing, I was just going through it and just like hoping for the best. I was like, I don't really know how to write, but we'll figure this out. And so I feel like, especially like in high school, when you're around a bunch of like very high achieving people, it makes you feel like you need to compensate for that by like also trying to keep up with them, even if they don't have the same goals as you. There is this idea that, well, okay, there is a stereotype that UC schools are like higher in standard than CSUs. And the same goes for like CSUs are better than community college, let's say. So for me, when I applied to colleges, I applied to a couple UCs. I didn't get in. SDSU was the only school that took me. And for me, that also like it really, really added to the sense of like imposter syndrome when I went into college, because I just felt like I have to compensate for the fact that I went to like what a lot of people would consider like a lower school. Like it's not like anybody really was like putting these like nobody was explicitly saying it, but I had that belief that like I go to a CSU. I was like, am I really as smart as all of my friends who got into UCs? Like I felt so bad. And so for a whole year, I was struggling with coming to terms with the fact that like I went to SDSU. I was like, really, come on, everybody from my high school goes here. And like I felt like I had been stuck in this one spot. And then I realized like eventually I realized I was like, SDSU is a really good school. A lot of people struggle to get into SDSU, and I was like, I'm really taking this for granted, and I don't know why I felt so bad for the longest time, just because I had to go to SDSU. Like, did y'all have friends who go to like UCs or even like private or Ivy Leagues, and then you're just here like, oh, I stayed in my hometown.
I mean, I kind of feel that because at first I was like really bummed out I didn't get a UCs because I also got denied by a lot of them because I applied as a CS major with no background in CS. So I just got destroyed. But honestly, us like at our school, we kind of like devalue SDSU because of the whole compact for success where everyone with the 3.0 gets in.
Yeah.
But like there's people that like genuinely like really struggle to get into this school, and it's still a really great school. I mean, my dad, he came to this school and he's doing great. So it definitely is what you make of it. There's still opportunities at every school no matter what, and it definitely relies on what you do with it. It's just whether you get those opportunities, you take them or you don't, sort of thing, is what I've learned so far.
Mm-hmm. JV, Lynn?
Well, I guess sometimes I feel like every now and then I'm like, I kind of wish I went to like a UC. Not just because like
Same.
I know I've always known SDCU was a good school, but it's like I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like as you said, like that stereotype of like UCs being better than CSUs. Like I get that. So like I've always kind of wanted to go to UC, but like at the end of the day, I get like I feel like at the end of the day, like almost like no matter what college you kind of go to, it's like
what
It's-
you make of it.
It's what you make of it. It's like, it's if you like, decide to learn, you know, to really learn your major, to learn all the skill sets needed. Like, that's kind of like, at the end of the day, it's really up to you. So
Mhm.
I always feel like, I don't mind going to SDSU. I still like my school. I love it. So yeah, I don't mind.
Lynn?
I feel like my story is a little different because I actually did get into a bunch of UCs, so I actually chose to go to state for like multiple reasons,
Mhm.
but like most of it was because I felt like the UC, like the way UCs are branded and how the schools, like the you see videos online about like the school's cultures and stuff, and I
Mhm.
felt like it didn't fit me that well.
Mhm.
So like I feel like the imposter syndrome like came in really hard like about like this time of year last year because I like when I was a freshman, because like that's when
Mhm.
everyone asked me, it's like, well, why didn't you go to UC, like UCI or UC Davis, because like you got in. I was like, well, I don't know, because like I kind of like it here in San Diego. I didn't really want to leave. And
Ah.
like the nutrition, since I did come in for nutrition, the nutrition program at state is like one of the best in the state, so it's like I was completely fine with it.
Mhm.
So like it just felt like, what if I did go to like one of the UCs, because like I know there's gonna be a different experience. So it's like, what if I would have like fit better in there rather than at like state, since like it kind of did feel like high school. Like when I did go in, I was just like the whole feeling was just like, man, high school, but like on a bigger scale, pretty much. Because I went to like a not like a tiny school, but it was like my graduating class was like 200 kids. So
Mhm.
like everyone knew each other. So it was kind of like hard, not hard that there's like more people, but it was hard to like
Find your people.
convince other people that like this is where I wanted to be,
Mm.
because like everyone had that stigma that like, why didn't you go to UCSD? Because like I did get in there, but like I chose state over UCSD because like my friend did go there, or like does go there, and like I feel like they changed a lot as like a person.
Mhm.
And I didn't like want that, because like I feel like now they don't really talk to me as much because I did choose a CSU over a UC. So like I think it feels like they look down on me a little more because I did
Yeah.
choose like this lesser of
Yeah.
a school, even though it's like that's not true in
Yeah.
most cases.
Yeah. Um, John, you mentioned the whole like Compact for Success thing. For those of you watching who aren't from San Diego, you might not know this, but Sweetwater Union High School District, which is where JV, John, and I graduated from, they had this thing. I don't know if they still do, but they had this thing called Compact for Success, where if you went to school within the district for 4 years, for all 4 years of high school, freshman through senior year, and you maintain like a 3.0 GPA for that entire period of time, then you would have like a sort of automatic acceptance into SDSU. But it didn't apply for like nursing or drama or dance, like the ones that you have to like audition for and stuff. And so like I do like agree with John on the idea that like a lot of people from our district, we tend to like look down at SDSU a little bit, like just the general culture of like Sweetwater Union High School District, like at least like our graduating class, we all kind of were like, yeah, I got into SDSU, but then again, like everybody else from our class like kind of got in. And so I feel like at the time I was looking at it as like I was like, oh, this is like high school part 2. And honestly, that was such a incorrect way of viewing it, because when you actually get to SDSU, you realize how big everything is. Like SDSU at face value, it doesn't seem like it's huge in comparison to like UCs, because UCs like they have like ginormous lecture halls and like everything's like, clickers for like how many like years, right? But SDSU, we have a lot of also like smaller classroom sizes, which I feel like makes it easier for you to like get to know people. But it's just like crazy to think that at one point we were thinking, yeah, I mean, SDSU, I guess, sort of deal. but personally, I'm very happy with going to SDSU. Like, I feel like it took a while to get there, but I finally feel like comfortable in my major. I feel like I've found my people, and part of that is because of APSA. Do you think that like finding people who are like, yeah, finding people who you can resonate with, do you think that helped you with your sense of identity and like trying to mitigate that whole like feelings of inadequacy?
I think it helped a lot. Um, I guess my first year, like I was very like inactive. I would just go to school and then go home or go to work or whatever. And obviously that changed in my second year when I became more active in APSA. And I don't know, just like finding your own group of people to like that you can hang out with and like share these experiences with and like relate with. It's like it's really helpful because like I didn't realize how hard it is to like I guess go through things alone.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I guess they're like elementary, middle school, high school. I've always had like a group of friends around me, but like going into my freshman year of college, like when I didn't really have people to like chill out with at school or anything, or I wasn't like meeting new people, it just I don't know. It didn't feel like a good college experience. Like as I think
Mm-hmm.
about it now, as I've like made these experiences already, it's like I really regret not like joining APSA or any other club my first year.
Honestly, same. John, you're the only one between me and JV, because we all graduated like the same year. You're the only one from like our group that like actually like went out of their way to be active freshman year. Do you think that
Honestly,
that was like
yeah.
good?
I think it was great because it definitely like improved my experience at state. It was funny because I thought I'd be the last person to do it because I remember like JV and the rest of my friends took me, and the first time I was there, like, dang, this feels awkward. But honestly, like my friend, like okay, so JV and the rest of them, they ended up like doing their own thing because they're all busy, and that was fine. But I remember
Mm-hmm.
my friend Kenneth, he really like pushed. He's like, no, you should just keep going. Like, no one really minds. Like, if you vibe with them, you should go. I'm like, okay. So I ended up like going to more and more things. I ended up loving it, and I just kept I kept trying to get all my friends to join, and eventually JV joined second semester, and it definitely improved the experience. And honestly, it definitely makes state like more manageable. Like it definitely feels like I definitely do belong at SDSU. So it
I
definitely was
think
the move.
yeah, it's the move. It's the move, y'all. Keep it going. I think it's very funny considering the fact that going into college, I hung out with JV and John for like the first like 3 weeks maybe. Like I would always text y'all and be like, "What?" I'd always text JV and I'd be like, "What are you doing? Who are you hanging out with?" And so I have like videos and stuff of like me walking with like JV and John to East Commons, and God, I miss East Commons so badly. I miss going to the bowling alley, and I miss all of those little moments where like with friends and stuff. And it's so funny because we just didn't like we like we just kind of broke off as like groups and then didn't talk to each other. And then second year came around and we were all like, "Yo, you're in APSA? Me too!" And it was just the funniest thing because you realize like you're I guess like in college you want to like try to reinvent yourself a little bit, and then like at least for me, I felt like going into APSA, I realized like the people who were willing to accept me were like people that I already knew, that I wasn't like close with in high school really, but it's just really ironic, I would say. Um, Last point, JV and Lynn, this is like a tiny little teaser, which I also mentioned in the AP squared, but so like the idea of like the model minority myth, which is um, like there is a high achieving uh, stereotype placed upon like certain minorities, specifically like usually AAPIs. Do you think that this idea has conditioned us to feel imposter syndrome? And by that I mean, like, do you think that these cultural expectations of who we're supposed to be have made it difficult for us to live up to our own expectations of success? Do you think that we have like a distorted view of like how we should be achieving things? I think JB, you kind of mentioned this, like with the whole like your family wants you to do a certain thing.
Well, not really. I kind of have mixed feelings about this, since I feel like, I guess, what these cultural expectations, they come from like family most of the time. But
Mm-hmm.
like my family is like, they're very lenient. Like they don't really mind in what I want to become and what I want to achieve. So like I kind of never like had the feeling that like
Mm-hmm.
my family set was like setting or had the expectation of who I'm supposed to be. They always told me like, oh, they just told me like the basic thing is like go become successful, which is like a kind of, obviously I want that for myself. But I guess the only thing that tripped me up was like it's the fact that I have to become successful so that like in order to like take care of them in the future,
Mm-hmm.
something like, which is something they always told me. And I guess like another point that like I looked at this from is like, I guess, you know, like that stereotype where it's like Asians are like really good at math.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like never understood that at an early age, because it's like I was good at math, but it's like, you know, like other people are good at math too. Like they're like on the same level as me, but like they weren't Asian. So I was like, I
I
never
feel the
like,
same way.
I kind of never, I like abandoned the idea that like Asians were only good at math or something like that.
I feel that whole thing because honestly, people assume that because I'm like political science and communication, people assume that I am bad at math or that I like hate STEM because I chose like social science and humanities for my majors. FYI, I am not bad at math. I just didn't like it that much. Okay. With the amount of STEM classes that I took in high school because I wanted to fit in and I wanted to be able to boost my GPA so that I could get into a good college, like I took way too many like STEM classes that I just didn't need to take. I took I took honors chemistry with JV. I took honors anatomy. I took honors physics. Okay? I did not need to take all of these like AP and honors classes. I didn't even need to take AP Lit. I think I was in John's AP Lit class. I had
AP
so
Lang.
many oh
Yeah.
yeah, swag, but like honestly honestly like there are so many instances where I can mention where like people just assumed that because of like my major that I just like wasn't good at anything for that like mattered to them sort of deal. And I was just like, this is so belittling. And I think that that's one thing that I would like us to get over as like a community. I would like for people to stop assuming that like certain majors are more I guess like in like intensive sort of deal, because a lot of people at least like from like my like personal experiences with people, there have been like a lot of instances where people would just like be like, but you're like poli sci and com, all you do is argue and make statements. And I was just like, honestly, yeah, but it also takes a lot of work. And I think that that's one thing that we have to work on as like a whole, is just uh acknowledging that like each person works hard in their own way, and that effort shouldn't be disregarded, kind of deal. Lynn, I didn't get to ask you, I didn't get to finish the question with you, but do you think that like the cultural standards also apply to you?
Yes. Like, can you like elaborate on?
Like the idea that like because we identify as like Asians, do you think that you were kind of expected to achieve certain things or to do certain things, or that it distorted your view of achievement?
I think it's like mostly like just like on stereotypes and like what people said around me, because like my parents are more like JV's parents,
Mm-hmm.
where like they were really lenient. Like they kind of let me do what I wanted, but like I was still a pretty, like I'm still a really good kid. Like I don't really do much. I kind of just like sit around at my desk all day. So it's like I can see it. Like I think I see it in their eyes that like they wish I would do more in like be a doctor. You know, like everyone wants their child to be a doctor because it makes a lot of money, but like I don't think they really care as much as like other people. So like
Mm-hmm.
they just kind of want me to like be successful, like I think, and like mostly be happy, just like, you know, do what I want. because like they never really had that kind of like push for me to try like that hard. It was mostly like on myself. That's why I took like all those AP classes and like college courses in high school, because like I wanted that. And but like I did choose like a STEM major like in the beginning, because like I kind of felt like I had to be in a STEM major, like, you know, for the dollars.
To make
'Cause,
some bank.
like yeah, like generally like STEM majors make more money than humanities and stuff. So like going into advertising was kind of rough. Like not like super rough, but it felt like I might have been making a mistake, because like
Yeah.
I didn't know what my like job prospects were gonna be like, other than like, well, make like, you know, minimum wage, like, or enough to like survive. So I'm like, I still don't know, but I feel like it was a better choice than like staying in the STEM major, even though like I know I don't really want to.
I get that. I think it's very interesting how like going into this conversation, I was like curious to see whether or not like JV and Lynn, like I was curious to see whether or not y'all had like the same experience as me. And like honestly, I'm a little shocked because like all three of us, our parents seem like, at least from like what we've talked about, our parents seem to be very like open-minded with like our choices, because like my parents, they never pushed me to be like a nurse or a doctor. And I think it also just stems from the fact that my parents know that I'm just like a very I'm very like, not to say that I'm intense, but like my parents know that I'm very like, I wouldn't let myself fail. I'm a perfectionist. So that I guess maybe that's why they never pushed me that much. But I have had like instances where relatives would be like, why didn't you do nursing? Especially because like my mom's a nurse and my dad's in the Navy. So very like stereotypical Filipino like family, according to like many people. And a lot of people would be like, why didn't you go into nursing? You go to SDSU. Isn't that like a good nursing school? And I was just like, it never was for me. I think that at the end of the day, what matters most is that we all feel comfortable in our majors. We all feel comfortable with what we're doing. And that, you know, when you go to college, you should think hard and long about like what it is that you want to do and what will make you happy. Because I think that if you like what you do, you won't feel like an imposter. You'll end up working like twice as hard, and it won't feel like work because it's going to be something, it's interesting, it's going to be fulfilling for you, kind of deal. Final thoughts. Are there any things that you like would like to say to people who are struggling with imposter syndrome, especially at this point in the semester where, you know, like midterms are kind of being rough on people?
Honestly, I just say talk to other people, because there are other people who are definitely going through what you're going through, and it should definitely be like something okay to talk about. And it definitely does help a lot, because it's definitely best to like do these things together, you know? If we have each other, if you have your friends and all that, things get a lot easier. So that's my advice.
JV?
Advice? I keep grinding. Like I don't know. For me, like I guess when things are rough, you know, I get that they're rough, but like I always
Take a
know
break, maybe?
maybe take a break, you know, think about, you know, think long and hard and how like I guess you should, I don't know, accomplish things or something. I don't know. Maybe like, you know, you're struggling, but you know you'll get through it. You'll be stronger. It's gonna be okay. But just keep grinding. Don't stop.
Yeah, don't put too much pressure on yourselves, y'all. Lynn, anything you would like to say?
Um, if you're like in a like spot where you're like, I don't know if I like really like my major, or if like I want to switch majors, like talk to someone who's like has a similar mindset to how you are, and like similar like aspirations, because I feel like that would be very helpful to see if you would like to switch your major or not, because like they usually, if they're like older, they do have a little more knowledge on like what the classes are like and like what you can get out of it, rather than just be like, well, like I kind of want to do that, because like I feel like that's been really helpful for me, because I did find someone who was like like he's in the same major as me, but he's like almost graduated. So it's like I have a lot of questions and I'm able to ask him about it. And I feel like that's been really helpful. And I feel like other people would like benefit from that as well. Well, not asking like this specific person, but like someone like who's kind of where they want to be at. And then like if you're having like a really hard time, like take a break, do something that like you enjoy. Like even though it's like finals time, it's actually like better if you do take breaks, because like it's better for your brain to not like overwork itself. So, you know, keep it chill, self-care, you know, all that stuff.
Nice. Yeah, final things I would like to say on this. Take breaks when needed. Everyone deserves a break. Try not to downplay your accomplishments, even if they are little wins. I know that a lot of us will tend to like overthink or like overlook things just because we don't think that they're that you know, like that it's not as big of an accomplishment. But you know, take it. Take the compliments where you can. Honestly, find your people, make friends, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Whether it's your professor, a TA, your friends, or even your mentor. Go to M4 night, or actually no, this will air after M4 night. So, hang out with your mentor and hang out with your mentwins if you have them. But yeah, just try to find a community is my best option. And if you're having difficulty with that, you can always hit me up. Hit up the board members, because honestly, we love it when y'all GBMers hit us up. Is there anything that y'all would like to plug before we end?
Check out the APSA socials in the description below. Also, check out the SDSU APSA YouTube page. There's lots of POG content on there. Check it out. Poggers.
Yo,
Hey, don't
PogChamp.
forget,
Oh,
there's also APSA Games. So y'all want to play games? Y'all want to have some fun with your friends? Go on the APSA Games Facebook. Stay tuned. We got a lot of good stuff coming up for y'all.
also, check out the official APSA Discord, because that's where like most like where everyone pretty much hangs out, since we kind of just sit at home all day. Like you'd usually see like a couple board members in one of the channels, like the office or the cubicles or Park Boulevard, because that's where GBMs used to be until the quarantine happened. So, you know, come out, like you can talk to like other GBMers or even alumni. They're like usually hanging out in there. So
Alumni
it's usually a fun time.
And yeah, also adding on to John's little APSA Games, check out the APSA Minecraft server. If you donate, then you'll get a special rank on our little wall of donators. So check that out. All of these things will be linked in the description below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what y'all want to hear. And this is me signing off, because you know we all gotta act up sometime. Oh yeah, also, mask up, take your meds if you have meds, and drink water. Have a nice day.